Welcome, 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 everybody. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy that we were able to get at least some of you from the Zoom mishap. I was laughing to myself about, just how serendipitous it was that it ended up being on Good Friday when more people were out of the office. They weren't working, but then also kids are home. So it's kind of a strange reschedule, but I'm happy for everyone who showed up live here. And I'm happy for everyone who's going to catch up on the recording. I got a ton of people saying they're going to do that. So super happy to have you, however you can show up. Go ahead. I'd love to hear from you. Just drop in the chat with where you're calling in from, like just either your location, like kind of broadly, state, province, or city, whatever you want to feel comfortable doing there. I am calling in from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, my adopted home, Denver, my old place. I used to live in Denver. Let's see, Marine and St. Croix. Yep. Minnesota. Van City, nice. Tarpon Springs, Florida. Ooh, Cobble Hill. Yep. Another Vancouver Island baby. Nice. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so happy you're here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sonia Semyonova. I am a somatic intimacy coach. I'm also a writer. I have been working in healing for more than 2 decades. I started off doing work as an intuitive healer. I had my big awakening when I was about 22 years old, when all this intellectualized, person who was like, I was ready to go and get my PhD, and then my first spiritual teacher came along and ruined all of those plans. So I started doing initially intuitive healing work, and then moved into doing wellness and health and lifestyle coaching, specifically Ayurveda, yoga, things like that. And so what happened was, as I jumped into doing more one-on-one work, I started to notice this trend. I started to obviously work with a lot of women, and one of the things that I kept seeing was that even though women were coming to me for issues with their guts, what ended up happening was that they would share that they had an issue with their relationships. They didn't know how to use their voice in their relationships. They felt powerless. They didn't know what their why they were there, or like how to like feel like they wanted to be there, or feel like they could feel empowered in a relationship. And so here's this wellness world trying to fix relationship stuff with like a juice cleanse or a bowl of khichdi. And I couldn't unsee that. I could not unsee it. And I couldn't unsee the fact that women were dropping thousands of dollars on programs that were kind of just telling them they were broken. They were not possible to be fixed. And like there's this endless well of that stuff available. So I couldn't unsee any of it. So my big awakening though happened in 2018. I had been involved in a very intense spiritual community, like strict vegetarian. There was no alcohol, no consciousness altering experiences, including sex and dancing. So, like all of this stuff is like very intense and very strict and very in the yoga world, what you would call the right hand path. And initially, when I had first joined, I had some like kind of what I would say standard modern health issues, like eczema, acne, anxiety, and like gut issues, all these things. And I initially did get some great benefit when I cleared up my diet, and I started to reduce a lot of the stuff that I had been putting in that was causing a problem. Now, it didn't last. And I saw this with many of the people who came through that school that I was working for. It didn't last. By the time I was done breastfeeding my daughter, she was almost 3 years of breastfeeding. I was fatigued. Like I lost so much weight. I was anemic. I was exhausted. My midwife, even when I was pregnant, was like begging me, like, please eat some meat. Please eat some meat. And I was on this vegetarian kick at that point, and like really like, no, 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 this is the right thing to do on so many levels for my health, right? And this is what I'll say. I remember one day the realization of sitting and eating what I was taught was the most perfectly balanced meal. And I was eating it in silence because that was what I was taught you're supposed to do for your health. And I realized I think I might have said this out loud at the time, like, I really miss the goddess. Now, I'd had a ton of work that I'd been doing before that, with like around really tapping into that goddess energy and that beauty and that pleasure that she embodies. And she wasn't there in that bowl, the Buddha bowl, for lack of a better word. It all broke. It all broke. I moved to Mexico, which is the complete opposite experience from what I was in before that strict community. And I saw the value of the order and the chaos. I saw the value of gathering on Sundays and, indulging a little bit and just for the sake of the joy that it brings to gather around a table and, share some mezcal and an espresso, which were like, I mean, that sound like really like small things, but from where I was coming from, that restriction, those were very big things at the time. And so I began to really lean into this path of pleasure. I began to seek out teachers who were talking about this instead of restriction and diets. And I, over time, noticed that the more that I followed that path of desire, that path of pleasure, the health issues that I had been dealing with that had been dogging me for years, they began to clear up. It wasn't just that the health issues were gone, like my joint pain definitely cleared up. I had a lot more energy, but it was like this veil had been lifted. And suddenly I started to ask for what I wanted in all aspects of life, especially relationship dynamics, looking at like what was no longer going to be okay for me. And it was a total life change, my life has completely been transformed just because I followed pleasure. All right, so that's my overview. Let's tune in and talk about what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to cover some big ground in the call today. We're going to talk about many different things, and I want to say just please stick around to the end. I do have a very, very special gift for folks who stick around to the end. So please, stick around, watch the recording if you need to get caught up at the end of it. So we're going to start off with the problem, why healing feels so hard, and why the things that are being offered to us as women are just not working, why we feel like we're continuously on this cycle of like the next retreat, the next cleanse. We're going to go into why pleasure and healing are connected from a nervous system perspective. And we're going to do a little guided practice with eating something. So I think I mentioned in the chat and the email, but it's always worth mentioning again, that if you don't have something small to just pop into your mouth, then now is the time. You can get up and go grab something, anything, like a raisin. And you can do this with like literally anything. And then we'll go into wrap up with some practices and some next steps for you that you can do to like, if you want to bring this more into your life. Okay. So questions, anything coming up right now you want to address? You can pop it in the chat. You can raise your hand if you don't mind being on the recording. Great, let's dive into it. I do want you to drop something into the chat for me now, though. I want to hear, what have you done to heal? Like, what kind of practices do you associate with healing? What have you gone after? Just drop some things in the chat. Anything that you have done, whether it's cleanses or retreats or like getting up and doing all of the yoga. What do you associate with healing? Diets, detoxes, herbs, and supplements. Like, yeah, how many supplements can we possibly remember to take? I had an acupuncturist once give me something that I had 3 different pills. I was working on fertility stuff with her. 3 different pills that I had to take, and they were like the Chinese medicine pills, which are like teeny tiny, and you have to take like 8 of them at a time. And I had to take them all at different times. And I was losing my mind trying to remember, okay, which one can I have with food? Which one can I not have with food? Which one, will affect my sleep? Yeah, lemonade, the master cleanse. Oh yeah. Yeah, color therapy, homeopathic remedies. Yep. Nature walks, strict diets, ancient diets, cleanses, supplements, breath work, expensive treatments, IVs, oxygen, ozone. Yes. Books, retreats, therapists, doctors, supplements. Yep. The self-care. All the don't even get me started on self-care. Like the self-care that feels like a punishment. It's not even like I have to take a bath right now. It's very self-care, right? Yeah, herbs, essential oils, massage, right? All of these things, like think about if you were to put all of these things into one day, you would have no time for anything else. Because A, you'd be so exhausted from doing your master cleanse. You'd be like fatigued, you're mentally fatigued and overwhelmed by trying to remember which supplement goes when. You're dropping thousands of dollars on infusions and ozone treatments, right? You're reading 6 books at a time. It's so much. It is so much. We equate healing with discipline, with effort, with struggle. And there's a cultural conditioning here that exists. I'm not going to get into the whole puritanical, North American mentality on it, not in this call, but it's there, okay? I have to name though, the thing that I see happening is that in all healing spaces, these spaces that are filled with discipline, with effort, with struggle, I see them filled with women. Every yoga class that you ever go into, it's predominantly women. Every retreat I have ever been on, have led, have been part of, they are all women. The vast majority. You'll always have that token guy in there, and there's something to this. And these healing spaces, they've become women's spaces. And I want to say this off the bat that I don't think that's the wrong thing. I think women are naturally healers. Like we have always governed birth and death, for instance, as spaces of healing. It makes sense that these spaces of healing would also become our space. However, we have been so trained to believe that we deserve punishment inherently as women. Like the Adam and Eve story is the perfect example of it. Like, yeah, drop an emoji in the chat if you remember feeling like you heard the Adam and Eve story and you're like, you heard the thing that Eve was punished, and so that's why we get menstrual cramps, or that's why we have difficult childbirth. Does anyone remember hearing that or anything similar to that? Like the reason that we get menstrual cramps and have difficult childbirth is because Eve ate the apple. We are inherently punished. We are inherently punished. So when we're trained to think of healing as punishment, when we have developed this idea that women's space is healing space, right? And then we also have this idea that we are inherently supposed to be punished. Then what we have is what we have right now, which is women dropping thousands of dollars a year, tens of thousands of dollars a year into the wellness industry and not really seeing where our true power exists to heal. There's one other area, I mentioned birth and death as being these areas that women have often governed, healing being a place that women have often governed. And there's another area that women have governed that is always unnamed in these spaces: sensuality, pleasure, eroticism, beauty. This is also women's work. Like, I believe fully, I believe fully that the reason that we like to, put on makeup and dress the way that we want to dress, it is absolutely about self-expression. But like the beauty that we put out into the world, that's a benefit to the world. In the same way that it's spring now, right? So I can see all sorts of stuff popping outside my window, the tulips outside, the cherry blossoms, Jesus, the cherry blossoms right now this year. But like those are meant to bring us beauty. Like that's meant to attract bees. It's meant to make bees want to come and pollinate and then create more fruit. We do the same thing. Those are feminine spaces that we occupy and we overlook it. And pleasure and sensuality, eroticism, beauty, love, these are our power moves. These are the spaces that we're supposed to occupy. And yet we're here struggling. We're here struggling to find health. I want to ask you to go into a short reflection, just a few minutes here. Close your eyes and really feel your body for a moment. Really feel the sensation of whatever surface is touching another surface, whether it's your bottom or your feet or your back. Feel the boundaries of your skin. And then reflect on this question. When is the last time you had an experience of pure, guilt free pleasure? Some of you might have to go a very long time back. Some of you, I hope, are, it was like, oh, an hour ago. I want to ask you just like give me a time frame in the chat, like drop in like how long ago was that? How long ago, or can you even recall a memory of guilt-free pleasure? 2 days ago. Congratulations. That's amazing. This morning, yay. Last weekend, awesome. Yep, love it. An hour ago. This is it's so wonderful to see that, to have that recalled so easily. And it's also okay for those of you who didn't have this experience of it being very recent, a few days ago. Thank you. It's also okay if the answer is, I don't know, because we are constantly associating pleasurable experiences with guilt. Like it feels, what's the word? Frivolous. It feels frivolous to be like, okay, I'm going to spend an hour focused on how pleasure and wellness are united. It feels kind of frivolous, right? When you're like, well, I should be reading science about the nervous system. That's a far better way to spend my time. But like, what if the revolution that we're all looking for in health and wellness has to do with us following desire, has to do with us going back to that animal within us that knows what it wants, that makes no apologies for it? Like, what if that's it? All right, so let me get into some science. I mentioned the word science. I'm going to drop in a little bit of science and give you a way to understand, like, so you can actually justify this hour. Okay. So, really quick, digestible science here. So, if healing is all about making a change in your body, your mind, and your lifestyle, so that you can have some benefit, that's how I would define the purpose of healing. Like, you want to make some change to have a benefit. And usually even the language that we use around these things, like I have to get some grit. I have to grind, I have to slay, I have to what's the word that everyone's using now? It's like I have to lock in, like I have to lock in, it's like all of it's like harsh. It's very harsh. And it reminds me of the feeling that I've had when I've like been training to run marathons when I used to actually pretend like my body hates running, doesn't hate running. My body hates running. I'm not a runner. But when I was training for a marathon, the first time I ever blew my knee out was like I had to like put myself in this regimented, like I had to grind, get on that treadmill. Didn't matter if I was tired, right? And we think that that is how we're going to find success. And here's what's actually happening. When we are relaxed, that's when healing actually happens. It never happens when our jaw is tight and tense. That is never the moment of healing. Healing happens when we take that long breath in and the jaw loosens, and then we exhale. That's healing. If we're chasing it, if we're imagining that we're broken and there's something that needs to be fixed in us, and we're chasing it, like we're running that marathon, and we're like going after, we're like, okay, I'm gonna get this illness in a corner, and I'm gonna start to beat the shit out of it. Like that is the way that we are going to make things harder for ourselves. It's a mindset shift that is massive. And here's the science on it, okay? So there's a stat, like I really don't remember stats a whole lot. It's kind of a funny thing with my brain. I'm like a story person and allegories and things like that, but there's a really beautiful stat that has to do with why the state of play and pleasure are so vital to healing. So healing, again, being this place of like, we're going to create behavioral changes. We're going to do something different. Like I want to begin to do 20 minutes of stretching every morning. And if I want to do that, then that means that I have to kind of figure out a way to map this into my schedule. Now, on average, this is a stat, and I one day I'm going to find like I have actually looked this up to verify it, because it was given to me in my somatic sex education training, and I blew my mind. And I I have looked it up. It's by a person who studies development, child development. And it talks about the value of play, because we know that children are constantly learning, like their neural pathways that they're creating. It was like when my baby, when my baby, she's 9, when my kid was a baby, I remember learning that she was creating like a million new neural pathways a day or something. It might even be more. It was mind-blowing, okay? And so then there was this idea that adults are fixed. Like by the time we get the adult brain no longer has the ability to be what they call have neuroplasticity, to have that ability to have new neural pathways forms. But this is a secret that was found out by this researcher, okay? So the average behavioral change takes between 2 and 400 repetitions to become a behavioral change. So if you want to do stretching for 20 minutes, it's going to take you on average like a year, more or less, to have a thing where you're like, okay, I stretch in the morning. That new neural pathway was formed, okay? Now, if we combine that behavioral change with play, we reduce that down to 10 to 20 repetitions. Massive. So we're talking about 1 year of trying to create some kind of a change in you versus like a couple of weeks. A couple of weeks. Is anyone blown away by that stat? Is anyone like, it's amazing and it's true. It's true. The minute we begin to start to engage with play, which is pleasure, the changes start just coming on. They just start blowing through, right? You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at how much easier everything is all of a sudden, okay? Now, here's what's interesting is from a nervous system perspective, one of the reasons why is like when we're in that relaxed state, we're in that ability to, that what they call the rest and digest, the parasympathetic state, we're actually in a state of curiosity. Curiosity being a place you can actually learn. It's like beginner's mind. Like if you have a person who like knows exactly what they know, you can't teach them anything. You cannot teach them anything if they already know everything. And so that's why all of these spiritual practices are like, okay, have beginner's mind. How do we have beginner's mind? We go back to fucking kindergarten, okay? We get playful, we get silly. We are no longer afraid of looking like a little bit dumb. All right. So begin to incorporate some of that like memories of like, it's not going to change you. Like you're not going to have the kind of quick, rapid fire transformation by forcing yourself into it, by going into that fight or flight mode and saying, I just need to get this one health thing under control. And here's the beauty of it. When you make a home in pleasure and play, you are able to have a much more elastic nervous system. In other words, when you make your primary home pleasure and play and ease, something comes along that requires you to fight or run away wisely, because that is absolutely a very good response at times, you're going to be much more elastic in your ability to do that. You're going to be able to go, all right, well, I know I'm going to go back to that pleasure and play space, that parasympathetic response. So I'm going to get up and I'm going to push back here. I'm going to get up and I'm going to, arch my back and show my teeth a little bit. And even that can be a form of pleasure, right? Like standing up for myself, like it's like the hottest feeling to stand up for myself. So, okay. This is what I want to say though, is if you're not being trained in pleasure, which none of us have been, we were all raised in a culture. If you were raised in the kind of culture that I was raised in, and I believe that you probably were by and large, because it's the dominant culture, it is a culture that does not train us to know what feels good. When I have studied sexual consent stuff, one of the things that comes out is this like mind-blowing realization that so much of my life and everyone's life is about bypassing our limits and just being like, okay, I just have to deal with this. I just have to feel fine with this and just have to like get myself, like grit my teeth and just like get through it. What happens is that you end up feeling edgy and raw all the time because you're not doing anything to soften and sweeten. If you guys can relate to this feeling of being edgy and raw, I just want to ask you to just drop something in there. Drop an emoji into the chat. If you know what that feels like to feel edgy and raw all the time. And yes, there will be a replay. I'm seeing the hearts in there, heart on fire about that. That edgy and rawness, like how many women do you know who walk around edgy and raw all the time? And when sweetness comes to them, they're like actively pushing it away. It's it's a complete mindfuck when you start to really look at it. Like, how much have I pushed sweetness and care away? How have I not been able to receive when people have been offering me service that they genuinely want to offer you? You know, so I think that of this thing, like when I first met my kid's dad, I was so used to like being that like strong, independent woman who like I picked up all my groceries. I always carried my luggage because I was a feminist. And it was like, it's it's like looking down on me if you're gonna like, you know, pick up my bag for me. And then he started to offer doing that. And I was like, damn, that's really nice. Because like as he has a man's body, right? And so he does have a little bit more upper body strength. And like I really liked it when he picked up the groceries and carried them into the house. That was amazing. And he genuinely wanted to do it. And it gave me pleasure to just go, oh God, I can just like chill. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to strive. And so that's that learning to receive, learning to receive. So one more thing, I'm just keeping an eye on time here. I have to talk about this with that in regards to that connection between play and pleasure. And, you know, most adults don't play. Like you might be an exception to that. I'm kind of I'm a very playful person. Like if you're around me, like if I have a kid, like I'm playing with her all the time. Like I'm playing with my friends though too. I'm a very playful person, but most adults don't play. The realm of play that we have to work with is the realm of sexual intimacy. It's the time when we allow ourselves to step into a new persona. We, you know, might experience pleasure. We might allow ourselves to experience pleasure that we otherwise like just, you know, by eating food or something, we're not going to bring in that level of pleasure, but somehow it's okay in this one area. But it's often not even there. I have seen such an increase in the amount of well, there's shame. There's always been shame around sexuality, that is for sure. But now there's like this new kind of hang up where people like don't know what to do. Like it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen where people are just like, I don't know how to be sexual. And it's like it's a human thing. And again, because we haven't been taught how to have pleasure, how to follow just a simple thing of like, I don't like to be touched like that. Here's how I like to be touched. So our sex education is completely not even looking at anything. Like it doesn't ask us to explore the things that we enjoy. It just tells us all of the terrible things that are going to happen to us if we engage in pleasure. Like you're going to get an STI and you're going to get pregnant out of marriage, right? Like those are the things that happen. Or you're going to get slut shamed, right? That's what our sexual education teaches us. And so we have to begin to explore on our own now how to bring in this erotic life force into our everyday. And that doesn't necessarily look like going out and having sex with everyone and everything. What we're going to do right now with this practice is going to show you what I'm talking about. We're not going to have sex with anybody right now, but we're going to engage that eroticism, that pleasure. That is, you can use this in any part of your day. So everybody has a little thing to eat. I have this amazing little chocolate bar. I just picked this up last weekend. I was on a little, not camping trip, but like a cabin thing. cabin trip. I don't know what you call it. And I found this at the grocery store there, and it was so cute. I loved the packaging initially. And so I'm going to bring this up for it. So I'll just ask you to have that thing nearby. But before we even begin into that, what I'll say to you is that we have to shift. We have to down regulate our nervous system right now. We have to get to a place where we can receive pleasure, that parasympathetic state. So the first thing I'll ask you to do is just bring your eyes to look at something that is pleasant in front of you, something that you really like. I mean, I'm going to just take a look at this beautifully wrapped bar. That's like the design on this thing is unbelievable. So just let your eyes fall on something beautiful in your space. Begin to breathe, noticing your breath first. And just not trying to change anything right off the bat, but just noticing, is your breath high in your chest? Is it low in your belly? How does it appear right now? And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to inhale and you're going to exhale with a longer out breath than your inhale. So if you're in, you don't have to count it. You can count it. You'll know. You'll know what's longer. When we exhale longer than the inhale, we engage the parasympathetic, that rest and digest state. You can make noise if you want on your exhale, if that feels like something that is calling to you. Now, as your eyes are staring at this beautiful object, continuing to breathe that longer exhale, bring your attention to the backs of your eyeballs, as if you could kind of lean back into the back part of your eyeballs and begin to really gaze at this object, this beautiful object, as if its beauty was meant to serve you. It is meant to give you pleasure. It was designed specifically for you to enjoy. Begin to drink that in, like in the way that you might drink in beautiful sun on a summer day. Feeling the energies of that beautiful, the beauty of that object coming in towards you. Feeling it soothe you, feeling it serve you. This is meant for you as an affirmation that you're a walking goddess who was meant to come here, to experience pleasure, to share pleasure. And that's the medicine. Now, take your food object, whatever it is that you want to enjoy. And first, we're going to begin by just looking at it. I was looking at this packaging the whole time, but I'm going to unwrap it. I'm going to like slowly, like I'm undressing it. I'm going to unwrap this beautiful pink, but I'm going to retain. I'm not going to rip it apart. It's not what I want today. I'm just going to slowly unfold that. And I'm going to just look first. What does this object, my food, my chocolate bar look like? I'm noticing the color. I'm noticing the texture of the bar. There are little lines, little striations on the bar, little marks. Oh, and when I flip it over, it's got this imprint of the chocolate, the label on there. Go ahead and explore just by looking. And then the next thing is just to take your hands and touch. Begin to explore, feeling the different layers and textures of it. And it can be something as simple as like, a raisin or, even a potato chip. Like imagine the texture of a potato chip and how much pleasure you might get out of that. Just going to trace whatever excites me, whatever calls to me. I'm putting zero limits on it. There's no one here who can tell me right or wrong about what I want to do to this thing. And next, I'm going to smell it. Oh, that's pretty heavenly. But I'm just going to really allow my nose to bring in the scent, this chocolate bar. Mm, that's amazing. And I'm noticing that I'm curious about if I broke it open, if I like broke off a little piece, because I'm eventually going to eat this, if this smell is going to be stronger. So I'm going to try that. Mm. It's a little bit stronger, not as much as I thought it would be, but the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to lick it. I just have a little corner of this chocolate and I'm just going to get my very first taste, teasing myself because I know that like the thing that I really want to do is I want to shove this whole thing in my mouth and chew it, but I'm not going to do that right now. Mm. I'm having a moment over here. Yes. Mm. And next, just take a little nibble, like take the very front of your teeth, just like the tiniest nibble. Like I just got like a sliver off of this. Mm, And just notice what happens when you're slowing down. Notice what you notice. This is the most important thing about following the path of pleasure. There is no formula that I can give you. You're just noticing what you notice, noticing what you like. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put it in your mouth, but you're not going to chew it. You're not allowed to use your teeth. Mine is divinely set for this because it's chocolate and it'll melt. But and it's melting exquisitely. But again, you can do this with anything. You can do this with a piece of asparagus. You can do this with fruit, pasta. Mm, it's very melty. And I'm noticing this is specifically it's Mexican hot chocolate flavored chocolate. And so the spiciness is now coming through. Mm, wow. That is some really good chocolate. And I'm a chocolate connoisseur, but like that's very good. And notice whatever you have, if you've had it before, which you likely have, notice how it's different now, how it's your perception of it has changed. And if you, I want to hear from you. I want to hear like drop in the chat, like what have you noticed? What did you notice? And it's also okay if like if you're like it was kind of boring and I didn't notice anything. That is perfectly okay too. Your experience is your experience. You're noticing what you noticed. And so share in the chat what happened, what was different, what was the same. Yes, a small piece was super satisfying. I had the same experience because like I can eat like a whole chocolate bar a day if I wanted to, but like I lose the satisfaction. I notice that when I'm doing it that much, but yeah, it's like the little corner. It was hard for me to slow down. Yes, very, very common because we're trained to like barrel through. Like if you like at a meal, like the other place I like to play is in cooking. Like I love to cook. And it's funny because sometimes you'll get people, I'll cook for them and then they'll finish their food in like 10 minutes. Like, I just, it's fine. They do their thing, but it's like I'm an hour of cooking and then they're like, you shovel it in your mouth, right? It's hard to slow down and eat. The flavor was much more noticeable and rich. Yeah. Oh my God, roasting strawberries over a candle. I have never thought of that. That's incredible. I think I might have to try that this weekend. I love it. A roasted strawberry. Amazing. Yeah, thank you. So this is, yeah, the urge to rush again. Yep, totally. Like we're trained to just rush through it. Like we are not trained to soak the pleasure up. And if you think about like just on a nice summer day, you just want to go sit in the sun and you just want to like soak it up. At least if you're me, I'm a summer baby. But it's like we're just trained to be like, I need to go from point A to point B. And the sign of success is having reached point B. It's not at all about what happens in between, that massive journey of like, oh, I'm gonna linger in this. So yeah, try slowing down. Sometimes that can bring up a lot. Like I have a bit of the ADHD, as we all seem to have nowadays. And I notice like I have to force myself to do things that are slower because my brain will just immediately go into like, I can handle, doing multiple things, but they're not pleasurable. They're not as fun. So even like I used to always like have something playing in my ears when I was cooking. And just sometimes I don't do that. Like sometimes it's just like pure quiet because I like to just focus and I like to think about my food that I'm making. Or I'm on a walk or something, and like rather than like I'm gonna listen to a podcast and I could get like cram in more information about how to heal my body, or I can just like listen to the birds, and notice the turtle that's coming out of the water. Like that's for me, slowing down has been the absolute, that is the inroad to pleasure. When we slow down, we notice. When we're rushing, when we're going too fast, we don't notice. We don't notice anything. Uh, this is lovely. I'm so intrigued by this roasting strawberries. I'm definitely trying that. So I'm so grateful for everyone who's joined along on this. And if you're intrigued about how this could actually really make a difference in your life, and it will, by following this path, it will make a difference in your life, then I have two options for you. I have two different next steps for you. The first one, which is, this is a solo journey. It's something that's guided. It's by you, and it will be free. Is like you just take the next week. You step into every part of your week as if it is meant to serve you, as if you are a goddess on a throne. Everything that's happening, including like the pattern that shows up on your chocolate bar, like that was designed for your pleasure. That's a complete reorientation. And you're going to linger, you're going to pause, you're going to slow down, you're going to eat every meal like the way that we just ate that little snack. It's allowing yourself to have the reward before you do the work. And then there's a second journey. I want to share with you, if you want to go deeper, if you want to really explore what this feels like to have pleasure be something that's at the forefront for you and not in the back burner, you want to figure out how to let that inner lover out to play. I want to share with you, I'm offering a new program that is a 6-week course called the Heartbreak Cure. And it is my answer to this world that seems like super messed up around love, messed up around women who don't see themselves as having power in relationship and power in their pleasure, not power as in I'm going to like, stare someone down the hardest, but like the power in being able to receive pleasure. And, like we equate love and relationships with so much pain. Like in the same way that we're like, I have to eat the kale salad, even though I get super gassy, the kale is super good for me, right? We do the same thing with love and relationships. We grit our teeth and we're like, I have to get back on the dating apps. I have to like talk to my partner, like all of these things. And we're missing the chance to really sink into the feeling of pleasure. And the way that this program is working is it's looking at your past relationships, the energies that you've left behind in old lovers or current lovers, the ways that you might have given your power over to them. I'm not asking anyone to get over it. In fact, I'm asking you to like drop into it, to like feel the joy of seeing like that memory of seeing your like ex, like that toxic ex. Like, remember when you saw them for the first time and you were like, being able to capture that as joy again. It's a program that's going to be filled. I've got erotic rituals in there, guided writing practices, somatic explorations, including the wisdom that I have gained from working and studying love with the people that I think are the absolute best teachers of love, the poets, the mystics, and the horse. These are the ones who know about love, and I've studied with all of them. And so I want to, with this, to help more women to really feel love as something that's pleasurable again, to like remember that we are love goddesses. This doesn't have to hurt as badly as it does. It's like, this is like my answer to seeing women who don't understand how much power they actually have by just slowing down, turning it up a little bit, turning on their pleasure. So you're going to learn how to, the course will progress into learning how to really, nourish yourself and stop outsourcing your love power. Like, stop giving your partner the thing that is yours. You're going to draw it back within you. You're going to learn how to make it yours. You're going to learn how to worship yourself so that you can receive worship from another person. Like, when that person comes along and says, I want to lift your grocery bags, you're going to be like, all right, cool, because I'm a goddess and I deserve that. I deserve that kind of nourishment. So logistics, I'm going to give you a couple logistics and then I'll open up for some questions here. We're going to have, there's 6 modules that I've put into this, like, I'm a Venusian at heart, and it's a beautifully designed guidebook. I've got 3 coaching sessions. So the 6 modules go through the various practices, including the pre-recorded stuff. And then I'm not leaving you alone with this. I don't believe in just like, bye, I'll see you later. You get 3 one-on-one sessions with me, including the first one, which is an Oracle of Love intuitive reading, which is where I began my healing work. And you're also going to get tech support, like one-on-one. Like, at any point in the course, you can just text me and be like, hey, I don't understand what this was. Like, can you help me, drop in here? It's important for me that, like, I'm not just putting you out there. Like, I want to make sure that you're going to get a lot of it out of the course and that it's going to be a good fit for you too. So if you're feeling the pull at all, then I want you to know that I'm like, the way I'm doing this is I'm opening up 5 spaces every time I do a launch. And those 5 spaces are going to be, that's it. That's the only time I'm actually going to be opening up enrollment for the course. In order to get into one of those spaces, you have to do a call with me. And that's just a short call. Like, we're just going to go through what are some of the barriers that you're experiencing, some of the tactics that you've tried. And then also just like making sure that we're a fit, like that you're a fit for the program, that you're going to get what you're looking for out of it. Because the worst thing that could happen is that you don't feel like this is serving you. I want this to serve you. It's got to serve you. So I'm going to drop the link to the page in the chat here. It has, if you go on there, you'll be able to get everything that you are looking for about the course itself, and you'll be able to schedule that 30-minute call. So don't sit on this, babes. Like, this is like, you're meant to feel good. You are meant to feel good, especially in love. You're meant to feel good in your body. Your body is supposed to feel like a home for you. And that home exists within pleasure. And if all you're doing is just keeping yourself alive with systems that are just kind of like, keeping you going, you're missing out on all of this fire and this life and this joy. It's just waiting. It's like right here. It's waiting for you. It's waiting for you. Okay, so that's my pitch. Oh, also, one more thing. If you sign up, because this is a brand new program, I've had a few people going through the beta testing of it. They've had really wonderful things to say about it, but I am going to be doing this at a massive discount. I'm offering more than $600 off of the course for the 5 slots that I'm opening. So again, don't miss out on that. When we do the call, if you're a fit, I'll give you the coupon. You can sign up there and get started. Okay, so That is my pitch. I am going to pause the recording just so we can answer questions because I just, for anonymity's sake, like it's weird to me when people put my like the free stuff out on the internet and like I'm a big believer in consent and let's do that.